right, this is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Louder.
Andrew, where are we today?
We are at Cease and Desist.
Will you knock that off? We are at Cease and Desist.
Like, I wanted to make it sound like we went to a place and but I had to edit it in later that we received a cease and desist because
Yeah, it used to be called Buffalo Club.
It did.
And where is it? We're on Mission Street.
Yeah, between 19th and 20th on Mission.
Right next to Gashead.
Yeah, close to Gashead, which is a great bar.
Which I'm sure they love, me mentioning other bars.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't like this place,
there's Gashead, there's Cha Cha Cha, there's the Beauty Bar.
Jesus, why would you come here?
No, this is a place that I feel like a lot of people don't know existed.
Yeah, including us.
It's got this very kind of nondescript sort of entrance. So you think that bar just goes right there because you can look in the window and there's a bar right there and you think that's all there is to it. But then you walk in and you realize there's a whole that's like maybe 1/10 of the bar that you see in the window.
Yeah, this place is massive. Like I said, or like you said, you walk into this place and you think it's just sort of an ordinary maybe Doc's clock-sized bar or something like that, where it's just going to be kind of thin and peter out at the end. But this place just keeps going. There's another bar. There's a bar when you walk in. There's another bar in the back. There's an upstairs. There's sort of a balcony overlooking it. There's a massive bejeweled and bedazzled buffalo over the bar.
I guess that's here left over from the Buffalo Club. We were talking to the bartender, and he was explaining to us it's only been called Cease and Desist for 2 months.
Right.
Because it used to be called
the Buffalo Club.
Before that,
yeah.
I forget what it was before that.
Yes.
But then the guys whoever owns it now, they bought it and called it the Buffalo Club, and then they got a cease and desist order because there's another place called Buffalo Club. I don't know. It's
Buffalo, New York.
It's right outside of Cranston, Rhode Island.
That's right. It's actually in Niagara Falls.
So they just changed instead of fighting it in court, they just changed the name to cease and desist.
That's kind of clever. I admire that. And they serve pizza and stuff like that, and I would think that you can sort of work that into sort of a law breaking sort of attitude place rather than a I don't know. There almost seems like there was this heavy influx when west of Pecos and those kind of there was a real trend of about 1 or 2 years where it's everybody was yeah, we're going to open a barbecue restaurant in the Mission. It's going to be crazy. It's going to blow everybody's mind. And next thing you know, there's 30 of them. And it's no, it's not blowing anybody's mind.
Right, exactly. And they all have a very weird, the Buffalo Club, it wasn't like a Western bar, but it had kind of a Western feel to it.
Yeah.
And
which you kind of wonder who that's aimed at. It's
West of Pecos is definitely a Western themed bar.
Yeah, but it's sort of if you were actually from Texas or something like that, you walked in that place, you'd be like, oh, this is ridiculous. What you
This may work in San Francisco,
yeah,
but
exactly.
this would never fly in Amarillo.
Exactly.
But I give them credit for just going with it. Someone gives you a cease and desist order, and you're like, oh, well, that's the name of our bar now.
Right.
That's why I want to be called restraining order.
That's right. Open a bar called 100 feet minimum.
But I wonder, the thing that's really impressive about this bar is that the size.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like you're walking into the TARDIS. It's from out front, it looks oh, that's just this small place. Then you walk in and it's all this fucking space in here.
I want to say I saw one of those Thrillist lists of themed bars in Brooklyn, and there's a Doctor Who TARDIS themed bar in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And I was wow, don't let those nerds have access to alcohol. You're just gonna make them even sadder.
It's I would like a light beer and somewhere I need to find a new inhaler.
Exactly. You have it's like an oxygen bar, but designer inhalers.
I have to be back to my parents' basement by 9.
It's that's the other themed bar next door, my parents' basement.
One of the things about this bar is upstairs where we are.
Yeah.
There's a pinball table. There's that oldie time, that like USA versus Soviets like
Yeah, so
hockey table.
bubble air hockey, not air hockey, but like almost like foosball hockey.
Yeah, which
those
was
are great.
Always fun.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple of tabletop classic video games.
Like
Although
there's
I never
really
liked
no
the
shortage
tabletop.
of like money that's been dumped into this place. I mean, like it's it's nice. I mean, like it's I like it. Like
I came here and watched a Warrior game once, and I had some of the pizza they had there, and it was great.
Decent?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So yeah, it's like for a place that like a lot of people just walk by going, "Wow, where's the place that we can go?"
That's right.
Like you should stick your head in here.
We actually, on our way here, we saw like a group of very hipster-looking British tourists that were really upset because the beauty bar wasn't open yet.
Blimey.
They're like, yeah.
Oh, I have to wait to go in there and get all snookered up.
Exactly. It is weird. Like, I mean, like, yeah, being in the Mission, even just 10 or 15 years ago, like, just the idea that you would see a tourist was just weird. Like, it would be bizarre.
It is totally.
And like now, it's completely like the normal. Like,
it's totally incredible to me. And like during the day, you walk around Valencia Street and you hear all these different accents and different languages.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, like there's and they don't look like they're not like fat American tourists.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like they're
like
people
sophisticated European
right.
tourists.
Exactly. They're like, like probably just got back from Ibiza, or some shit like that. And they're all really good-looking, like, tourists.
Right.
And then at night, when the sun goes down, it's like the fucking purge in my neighborhood. It's like people are screaming. Like, I can't watch a movie in my front room because people are screaming all hours of the night.
Ah, Christ.
So that's why I decided to join them. And now I stand outside screaming all hours of the
You
night.
stand at your window and like, shout, "Fuck off, Brits!"
You know when nobody is screaming outside my window? 10 a.m. because I'm sound asleep.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say like Sunday morning at like 9 a.m. in the Mission, you will not find a more desolate or like post-nuclear looking up. Like,
Although on Saturday and Sunday, like the brunch scene, like that's pretty competitive in the Mission.
I can imagine.
It's like lots of just people, I don't know, with money.
Yeah, taking
around.
up lots of space with their kid or whatever. Like, I'm going to take my kid to appreciate like a $50 bagel.
Exactly.
It's like, go screw yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, my little princess doesn't like her eggs Benedict.
It's like, I know that you guys are like world renowned for your bread, but my Tyler is gluten intolerant. So
yeah, gluten intolerant. So before we came here, speaking of like the Mission, and we're on Mission Street. Before we came here, we stopped by Gestalt, and we had a beer there. And you had a new beer by Danny, who... the chef from Mission Chinese.
Yeah, we saw like... so there's this Danish beer company called Mikkeller that makes fancy beers. And, they teamed up with... what's his name? Danny... God, I'm spacing on his name. But anyway, the guy that
he's the chef from Mission Chinese.
Yeah, and like he's gone on to New York and like opened a Mission Chinese there, and like he's becoming world famous and blah blah blah. But yeah, like he made this like Szechuan spiced beer with like these Danish beer makers, and like it was odd, but like it's like I don't know. You tasted it. What did you think of it?
I thought it was good because one of my favorite beers, and I only had it for as long as Gestalt had a keg, was this beer by Sculpin.
Okay.
Is that the brewery? It's either Sculpin or Ballast Point, which is the name of the brewery. But it was a habanero IPA. So it was basically like a strong beer with habanero spiced into it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it might be not such a good combination. But it was fantastic, and so I like spicy beer. So like when actually, I had that,
I was just gonna say like I went to this brewery called Drake's near where I live, and they do like little like what do they call them, firkins or whatever, like just like these
twerkings?
No firkin, like which is like I guess just like a little mini keg that they sort of like make. They can make like little one-off like batches or whatever.
What's it called again?
Firkin, like Ferkin, I think.
Jerkin the firkin.
I could be like maybe it's just some joke word that they made up, but like anyway, like they had one that was cocoa nibs or like cocoa powder or whatever.
That's Ice-T's wife.
That's right, cocoa nibs. And but it was cocoa nibs and ghost pepper. And
ghost pepper.
And ghost pepper, ghost pepper is one of those things that just comes on like in the back of your throat, like you know, 4 or 5 seconds after you eat it. So the beer like tasted like this chocolatey stout or whatever, and then like 4 minutes later you're just like, oh boy, like you're like, oh bathroom please.
Oh Bobby. I recently went camping in Ashland, Oregon, and right before I went up there, I went to the grocery store, as one is apt to do before they go camping.
Sure.
By the way, I just want to point out, one of the things I love about my friends getting older is when we first started, we were all young, we would all go camping, and it was kind of like competitive camping. People were just like, yeah, we're going to go off the trail, and we're going to like set up camp, and we're going to like do that. Now it's just like, for me, that was just never for me. Cause,
I think the last sort of friends of ours, like, Oregon / California, like meet up somewhere in the middle camping trip that I went to was probably about 10 years ago. And I just remember, like, it took us, like, 2 hours to set up our tent. And then, and there was about maybe 4 or 5 hours of, like, really good times, like, sitting around a fire and like that. And then, like, by the time you're, like, shit-faced and need to sleep, like, everything from that moment, like, forward is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I'm on the ground, I'm cold, and I'm drunk, and now I'm, like... And then that turns into, like, I haven't had any sleep, I'm cold, I'm on the ground, now I'm hungover. It's like, this is the worst.
But it's great when you're young. We go to, like, you find these, like, really remote places to go camping.
Right.
And, you're doing a lot of hiking. And then, like, people start having kids, and then they're like, oh, we're going to go camping. We're going to do car camping this year, right? So it's like, that's more my speed.
Yeah.
That's the kind of camping I did when I was a kid. And now that the kids
it goes like camper camping, and then it's like, okay, we'll just go to a cabin.
Well, now like when I went up to Ashland, it was cabin camping.
Right.
And so it's like I went to the store to get all these provisions, and I realized that there's like a microwave in my cabin. There's a hot tub. It's like, it's basically just like going to a hotel somewhere in the woods.
Yeah, it's like bringing a whole bunch of groceries to a hotel room.
But it's great.
What?
Oh, well, I got on this subject because I went shopping and went to Whole Foods, and in the cheese section, they have all these different types of cheese, and right in the middle, there's this scorpion cheese. And
cheese?
It's just there. And
is cheese made from scorpions or with scorpions in it?
No, it's scorpion pepper.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
So scorpion pepper, one of the hottest peppers in the world.
Yeah,
and they just kind of like
the hottest.
There's no like sign or anything that says, "Hey, this is really hot."
Like,
it's
hey,
very
don't
spicy.
fucking touch this, dummy.
And of course, I know what it is, so I like bought it like immediately.
Of course,
I ate it all weekend. But like, if you were just somebody who was like, "Oh, this looks like a good cheese," and you brought it to your grandmother or something. You could have a lawsuit on your hand.
It's like, where did Grandma go? She's shitting blood due to the scorpion cheese.
Ooh, she didn't eat the scorpion cheese, did she? That's not for eating.
Well, Mom, no, don't rub your eyes.
Yeah, so.
Wow, scorpion cheese. I remember, being in, like, southern Arizona, and there's, like, this chili shop, and, like, they had, like, posters all over the place for the Trinidad scorpion pepper, and, like, talking about how so much hotter than the wimpy habanero and ghost peppers.
Oh, yeah. Well, now I'm going to sound like such a geek, but now the hottest pepper in the world is called, recognized pepper by the Pepper Institute, is called the Carolina Reaper.
Carolina Reaper?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And
take that, Trinidad, whatever.
Actually, when I was like
scorpion peppers.
When I was coming back, I was in Gilroy. I stopped at this place to buy some garlic spread.
Right.
And they had all these different hot sauces, and one of them was called Rectum Reaper. And I just looked at it. And looked at it again, and I just thought,
I can't even in good conscience buy this, right? I mean, just like why would who goes up to the counter and is like, yeah, I'm here to wreck my colon. Here it is.
Well, it's like I was thinking you know what? Most sane people would see a product called Rectum Reaper, and they'd be like,
no thanks.
No, thank you. I'm gonna pass. There's no law that says I have to buy it, so I won't.
Exactly.
Not me.
You're like, challenge accepted.
Yeah, I can't. Anyway, well, that's just.
Challenge accepted. And even if it does wreck my rectum, I'm not really using it for anything.
I'll just tell the doctor I have an alternative lifestyle. I'm like, how do I go from rectum reaper? Why don't we take a break?
Speaking of rectum reapers,
let's take a break.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm like a little distracted because the Patriots are playing. We're not going to do another Patriots Deflategate thing.
Oh no, but we will say that Tom Brady played surprisingly in this preseason game against the.
They said he wasn't going to play, and he just shows up. Although if I was him, I would want to play too, because you just want to get all this whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
All this legal shit out.
What else are you going to do?
All right. This is SF. All right, shut up.
Oops, sorry. So anyway.
All right, so this is SFBarkast. We'll be back from Cease and Desist. All right, and we are back at Cease and Desist.
Indeed.
Cease and Desist.
Cease and desist your activities.
They have a photo booth downstairs that says that it's the law offices of Cease and Desist.
Well, they really took it to heart, didn't they? They're like, you know what? Buffalo Club was a terrible name. Cease and Desist is great. We're gonna reorganize the whole place, except for the sequin buffalo.
I know they have this Disco Buffalo above the bar. By the way, Disco Buffalo, I saw them outside Lands. They were awesome.
They're a bunch of cokeheads.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, I was talking to the manager downstairs, and she was saying that some of the owners that are owners of Dr. Teeth are also the owners here.
Oh, okay.
And I went, oh, Duncan Lai? She's like, yeah, he's one of them.
Oh,
and then she
geez.
started naming off all these bar entrepreneurs, I was supposed to be like I had their baseball cards.
Exactly. Did she mention the what was the name of those fucking idiots that run the Trick Dog and everything like that?
The Bon Vivants.
The Bon Vivants.
It's French for dickhead, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. What was it? Former Best Bar of the Year winner, the Lexington Club, was bought by Gavin Newsom's company, Plump Jack Enterprises.
It's called Plump Jack?
Yeah.
Stupid.
I know, yeah. Well, it's Gavin Newsom. What can you do?
For people who don't know, Gavin Newsom he is the lieutenant governor of California.
Indeed.
And he's
probably the best lieutenant governor in the world.
I would have to say
certainly
yes.
the only one I know of.
I know a lot of lieutenant governors. Now, the lieutenant governor in South Dakota, let me tell you, that guy's a hack.
That guy's a shit.
And he used to be the mayor of San Francisco.
He did.
And supposedly he had a very bad drinking problem.
Ooh.
And I guess, didn't he he
and
slept?
A hot model wife problem.
Well, he had a hot model wife.
Right.
Who then went on. Then he realized he married her, and then realized that she was a lunatic. And if someone's got hot model looks and they're a lunatic, you can kind of put up with it for a little while.
Yeah.
But that only lasts for a little while.
Well, if you're the mayor of a large city, that can also shine the spotlight on you a little too much and expose what a fucking nut job she is.
And if people think that I am exaggerating about her being a lunatic, she went on to become a Fox News personality.
Right.
I forget her last name was Guilfoyle.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Wait, isn't that the person that hit Nancy Kerrigan in the knees?
That's
Galooly.
Sorry. So a friend of mine. So there was a point where Gavin Newsom, he had slept with his campaign manager's wife.
Right.
By the way, not a cool thing to do. Not a cool thing to do if you're not running for mayor.
Well, did he do it on purpose, or was it just an accident? In his daily routine of sleeping with lots of women, he accidentally slept with someone he shouldn't have.
So he threw himself upon the mercy of the public sentiment,
as well as many vaginas.
And he said that he was going to clean up, he was going to stop drinking, because
Okay.
there was also once that happened, and he said, yeah, it's because I drink a lot.
It's ooh, I'm glad I had that ace in my in my hole. I'm glad I don't have to admit to being an asshole. I can just
sure his lawyer
say
is
that I
just like,
drank too much.
Can you blame it on drinking? But then, like, when he said that, like, oh, yeah, I drank a lot and I need to really, like, get some help, like, then suddenly all these rumors came out about, like, him being in functions. Like, supposedly he went to, like, a funeral, like, some fireman's funeral, and he was going down the line, and he was fucking lit. Like, who gets lit and goes to a fireman's funeral? They said that they could smell the booze on him.
Like, that guy, what's his name, Jack Daniels or something? I don't know, he's brilliant. I love him.
He fought the fires with both of his fists.
Where is he? I want to give him a hug. He's dead? Oh, no.
This day just keeps getting worse.
Who's this hot piece of ass? Widow. Oh.
So you're single now, huh? And a friend of mine who was working catering, he said that after Gavin Newsom had thrown himself upon the mercy of public sentiment, and said, like, I'm going to get help.
Yeah.
This friend of mine was doing some party in, like, on the hills of the marina, like where the marina hill kind of goes up.
Okay, yeah.
And he said, yeah, this is when Gavin Newsom's supposed to be cleaning up. And he said he got out of this limo and started to walk across this lawn and just face planted right onto the lawn. He said he was lucky there was grass there. But he just... Hey, Gavin, how's rehab? And how come you have grass in your hair?
Like, all I needed was, like, John Freitas to come around, like somebody to plant him into a bush.
I don't know what Gavin Newsom's doing now, but I can tell you who his favorite mayor of all time is. It's Rob Ford from Toronto, because Rob Ford makes everybody look good.
That's right. He's like, that guy knows how to handle his sauce. Obviously.
His sauce, and his Coke, and his crack.
That's right. And what else do you got? Because I'll handle that, too.
So when we came in here, I asked them to put on the football game.
Right.
And the guy's like, wait, there's a football game? I was like, yeah, it's like kind of one of the first, like, preseason games. So he was very happy.
In very un-mission type behavior, he said, oh, sure, I'll put on the football game, rather than saying, like, you better be joking if you're telling me to put on sports, you asshole.
Although, you know what they were watching was, and they still have it on the bar, on the TVs above the bar.
Little League Baseball?
Yeah, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates against the St. Louis Cardinals. Not a bad game, but it's like, totally out of market.
Right.
And then they're watching, like, Little League Baseball.
Yeah, like, I don't get the feeling that, like, any of the TVs here serve any actual purpose. Like, I think he was a little surprised that we asked to watch anything in particular at all.
Oh, you want to use those?
There's different sports?
Little League Baseball, like, what a waste of time.
Well, that's the weird sort of, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but, like, the place where the mission is now, like, where, like, you want to make, like, a fun bar, but, like, you can't put too much sports in it because, like, everyone around here are tech people. They don't like sports. And like, but if you go too far the other way, then, like, everybody's going to be like, well, I want to watch the game, and, like, your bar sucks. Like,
I feel like that a lot of that's going away. Like, where it used to be, where like, there was a lot of, like, hipsters in San Francisco, and especially in the Mission.
Right.
Like, and there was only a handful of bars that you could go to watch the football game.
Like, I can't imagine Trick Dog having a TV with a game on it. Like, because like it seems like their whole thing would be like, well, you should be staring at our cocktail menu that we spent 20 months curating.
No, you know what they will do? They'll have the Giants game on. They'll pick, like, the borest fucking sport that's out there, baseball, and then they'll, like, totally get into it.
I think the like, entry sport for, like, hipster bars is, like, soccer. Like,
soccer, sure.
Yeah, so they'll be like, we won't show you any Giants or Oakland A's game, but we'll find Leicester City and show them
the Premier League.
Exactly.
But man, like, who watches? Like, I know ESPN. They do a big thing about this every year with, like, the Little League World Series. I know they must have just bought, like, the rights to it. It must have been, like, it must have been dirt cheap for them to, like, buy the rights to it. But
like,
now,
who watches that other than, like, fathers of kids who are currently playing in it? Like
I'll tell you,
wouldn't you be a fucking creep if you watch it otherwise? Like,
I'll tell you, I think Barry Solo watches it in his underwear.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, like, and it's like people made a big deal over, what's her name, Monique.
Oh yeah, whatever. Like,
I forget her last name. Is it Wilson?
the Dominican girl or whatever?
No, she's like the girl who throws. She throws like 75 miles an hour.
Oh, the girl from the Bronx or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Well, speaking of sports,
there we go.
Like the big news this week is the Jets being the Jets, the New York Jets football team.
Oh yeah.
Their starting quarterback, Geno Smith, got punched the fuck out by one of his teammates during practice. Over some bullshit, it sounds like.
I don't understand how people. I mean, like, $600 or whatever is $600. Supposedly, Geno Smith got punched because he owed this dude $600
for like a complimentary plane ticket or something like that to his football camp or what. You know, like, I mean, like, yeah, that all sounded like garbage. I mean, like, I can't believe someone. Like, how does someone exhibit good enough, like, common sense to play football your entire life, go to college or go to whatever, like or at least like pretend to go to college, and then like make it into the NFL, and like still have such poor judgment that they're like $600. I'm gonna lay him out. It's like that's our starting quarterback. I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna try to kill him.
Well, I think it's like when you look at the whole thing, it really had nothing to do with $600. This guy had a football camp. This guy was like a third-string linebacker
right.
has a football camp in his hometown. I have no fucking idea who the hell is paying.
Must be a very small hometown where
right.
It's like, yeah.
So this guy, Geno, probably said, yeah, I'll go to your football camp. And then he probably went there and told all these kids, yeah, Geno Smith. He plays for the New York Jets,
right.
Starting quarterback. He's coming to the camp. And everybody got excited. And then Geno, supposedly there are different reports. Some people say that he had a friend die in a motorcycle accident or his brother got hurt or something like that, so he just
right. couldn't
go. And so then, like, he went and asked Geno for the money that he gave him for, like, the flight that he didn't take.
Right.
And I think Geno got mad because he's like, oh, you're being insensitive because, like, my friend's dead or my brother got hurt. Right. And he's like, oh, well, how's this for insensitivity? Let's see how sensitive your jaw is.
Like, I mean, there's, like, his jaw got broken in 2 places, and he's going to be out for 10 weeks.
It's incredible.
So, basically, either this guy landed, like, a perfect punch, or he's just a natural killing machine. And, and Geno Smith is lucky he's not dead. Like, what if he had, like, killed him outright, just, punched his head off of his neck?
I knew a guy who had his jaw broken, like, playing football.
Yeah.
And, they have to wire your jaw shut. And so
it's got to be really unpleasant for, 10 months, just drinking through a straw.
You can't talk. You have to drink, fucking astronaut food through a straw.
This sounds
Thanksgiving
awful.
dinner through a tube.
Well, and, that's the funny thing is that, and I can only imagine that, part of this is because of race, but, the idea that that people are saying well that just proves that he's not a natural born leader, that his teammate came along and punched him in the mouth. And it's like if this was a black guy punching a white guy out and nearly ending his career or fucking up his head, people probably couldn't wait to put that guy in jail, and he's already playing for another team.
Yeah. Well, there's these reports that Geno Smith was staring this guy down. And
so what?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't mean
you work for a football team. If you can't take getting stared down, you probably should rest your fists a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it totally does suck, and it's it sucks that all these analysts are coming out and saying he's not a natural born leader if he gets punched in the fucking head. It's dude, guess what? And people were like, yeah, Tom Brady would never get punched in the face. It's dude, Tom Brady would get punched in the face if there was a lunatic like that idiot on his fucking team.
You know what?
I don't think it's Geno.
All it takes for Tom Brady to get punched in the face is somebody walking up and punching him in the face.
Right. It's unadvisable, of course.
Of course it is.
But it's it has nothing to do with Geno. It has everything to do with that guy being a lunatic.
Yeah, exactly.
You put Tom Brady in with a fucking criminal,
right.
And Tom Brady might get punched in the face.
It's people assume that that white quarterbacks are these horse whisperers. It's where it's Tom Brady would have been able to talk to him and and tell him oh, calm down. Hey,
you want to talk some jive? I'll talk some jive.
Exactly. It's the idea that Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger would have been these are not the droids you're looking for.
Exactly. I'll handle this. Yeah, and also like the fact that like, I mean, it's a game, it's a kid's game, whatever. I mean, it's a man's game, but the fact that this guy got his jaw broken at work. It's like, just think about like wherever anyone out there listening works,
Right.
like you getting your jaw broken there by someone else.
And then having like analysts of your job say like, well, it's because he's not a born leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's
what?
because he turned in that report late.
It's like you're sitting there like drinking a fucking milkshake with your jaw wedged shut, and you're like, motherfucker. Chris Carter, I'll kill you.
Yeah,
Christ.
fuck that noise.
Well, great timing for all of this because like we couldn't be more in the dregs of the sports season, and like, and I mean like now we've got like at least a little bit of like hint of preseason football and stuff like that to save our lives. But boy, the last like month or so has been pretty brutal.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if they're going to do it again this year because I think Joe Tobin told me they're not. But the thing I hate most about the football season is they have all these like preseason games, and which is just a total dick tease.
Yeah,
you know, like you're just like watching these games and you realize you're just trying to get a little bit of a fix, and then you realize the stuff you bought at the bar is just like fucking baby powder.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, like during this game, you're like wait, they're going for it on fourth down, and I'm like, well, of course they are. Like it's it's the preseason. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, you already know your kicking game works, so like, you might as well play 5 downs every fucking play, like,
but
or every.
At the end of the preseason, there's like 1 week, one Sunday where there's like no games, and it's usually Labor Day weekend, and I'm like, what?
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Like, every fucking year that happens, where it's like. You get all the way to Labor Day and you're like, well, I hope there's some sports for me to watch on like Sunday or Monday, and then you're like, oh yeah, they're doing the opening of season next week, like idiots.
Right, exactly, and it's like it's Labor Day weekend, the weekend where people they're gonna have an extra day off. People should be throwing like kickoff like NFL parties,
right?
But because the NFL, who are run by a bunch of idiots,
right.
They can't even like promote themselves correctly. They decide to take that week off, and then they start the next week when everybody. So, like, I mean, like, think about how great that would be. Like, people would have like these kickoff like parties on Sunday.
Be huge. Yeah,
everybody would get hammered, and then they'd have the next day to recover.
Right. Instead, it's like, there's like a early September baseball game we could watch. Like, and now that like every team is allowed into the playoffs, that's all meaningless. So like, the playoff matches will probably already be set by the time that happens.
The only thing it does for me is that like that Saturday before, I believe, is the beginning of the college football season.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, well, there's no NFL game, so like let's get into college football. So I'll
and that lasts 1 week. You're like, oh, this is terrible.
Well, I'll watch like 1 week. One Saturday I'll get into it, and then I'm like, wow, that was fun. And the next day I'm just like standing around doing nothing.
Standing around with my dick in my hand.
Yeah, just basically like getting mad at the NFL. Like those fucking idiots.
Mad at Skip Bayless or whatever for talking about nothing, which is
happening. Oh, but wait, the Little League World Series is on.
Woo!
Shit. You want to take a break?
We can do that.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back from Cease and Desist. All right, and we are back at Cease and Desist. Andrew, you went downstairs and you bought a pizza, so we're looking forward to that.
Well, we are, yeah. So we'll have to try this, try this bullshit out.
Yeah, I think we give a lot of shit to like these restaurant tours. But I will say, even when I was like going completely to guns against the Bon Vivants,
right.
You remember when we were at Trick Dog, a bar that I still loathe. When we ordered food there, it was so good.
It was, yeah.
I was like, holy shit, I am harsh, but I am fair.
Well, I think that like it's weird because I feel like despite how much this neighborhood has changed, it's still sort of the same for me as far as like if I'm here and I want to get something to eat, my options are pretty much like Shirley Mediterranean or like a burrito somewhere. Like. And that's just because like everywhere that has come about here is like a reservation kind of place, or like it's filled with these like destination restaurants where it's like if you're suddenly hungry at like 7 o'clock on a Friday, you won't be able to get in. So you sort of have to find someplace that's like a little more convenient.
You know more about like restaurant and like food stuff than I do, but like I totally agree. Like. Even today when I like got up, I was like, oh, where am I going to eat? And I was like thinking all around the neighborhood. I live at like 16th and Valencia. There's restaurants everywhere, but there's nothing that's kind of casual for me to like kind of
exactly,
go to. Where it's like it's either
It's
burritos or a slice of.
Stores like done so well. I mean, because like you can just walk in and get something to eat.
Right.
You don't have
You
to,
go
like,
you have pizza, you have burritos, and then you have like pork store, and then everything else is just like some like sit down fancy place. You know?
Yeah, or like some place
like,
where you don't even know what you're gonna get.
I'm just gonna like casually post up at fucking Limon.
Right.
Just the name Limon. Or
would you go to Limon or Limon Rotisserie?
Ooh. Or Bar Tartine or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many places like that now where it's like, and it's almost frustrating because you feel like, well, wow, like I live in or you live in this like restaurant destination. Like you should always like have like an incredible meal for like 3 times a day. But like it's just not that easy. This is the trouble. This is the problem with being a white person in San Francisco.
Exactly. Yeah. This is WPP, white people problems.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, I just can't get the right sauce for my whatever.
Well, I mean, sure, there's 50 ramen places around, but try finding one that serves Shio style.
I just want to touch upon one thing before we go into my next subject.
Okay.
Grand Cruise 2016. Are you going to Grand Cruise?
Well, if anybody hasn't looked it up, I recommend entirely. Like every piece of promotion YouTube video that I've seen about it is goddamn fantastic because it's just Gronk and his family getting awesome.
So Gronkowski, who is a tight end for the Patriots,
who's a big giant Polish party animal.
Yeah, exactly. He grew up outside of Buffalo, New York.
Right.
He's got like 6 brothers, and like they're all meatheads.
Yeah, of course.
And my heart goes out to that mom for like her whole life. She's just basically.
But now she's being rewarded by getting to go on EDM party cruises with her sons.
Right. So after like the Super Bowl next year, Gronkowski is having this. This cruise from, I believe from
You're looking for like the right word for like date rape festival.
Well, it's like this. He's having this cruise from like Miami to what they say on the video, their own Gronkowski private island in the Bahamas.
What does that really mean? What does Gronkowski Island consist of? Do you think?
Right. It's just like just
like a pile of dirt in the middle, like next to.
It seems fine with me, but it just really does seem like a plot to get a bunch of people into international waters where a lot of laws don't like apply.
Right. It's like, oh, so you claim that you've been raped and abused? Well, we'll just take it to the court of Gronkowski Island. Then.
Oh, well, we have our own court on Gronkowski Island.
Well, and guess who's not guilty?
Let me tell you something. If I stop banging the coconut on the gavel.
Exactly. It does sound like a lot of fun.
Definitely look it up. If I can, I'll post it on the website.
Certainly.
But also, like, I was having this conversation. You want to do a little movie talk here?
Yeah, we can do that. Sure.
I was having this conversation last night with some cinemaphiles.
Okay.
And I was saying that you would have to admit that Stanley Kubrick had the highest batting average of any director ever. And I was like,
that's sound, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are bad Kubrick films? Like Eyes Wide Shut.
Barry Lyndon's kind of boring.
Barry Lyndon's, it is really boring.
Yeah.
And like one of the guys I was talking to last night, he was like, yeah, well, the thing about Barry Lyndon is it was all natural light. I'm like, that is such a weird thing to hang your hat on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, and you know what else? They have artificial light. So it's
no,
like,
I think it was all like candlelight.
But I'm saying like the artificial light exists when he made it. So
right.
So he basically just decided to make a shitty movie.
It's like every once in a while there's like people come up with a new gimmick, whether it's like, oh, this is a documentary and the events are told in real time,
shot entirely in a sock drawer.
Right, exactly, or
dark.
Like it's all in one take or some shit like that. But it's like as far as like all of those gimmicks, like. All natural light just seems like the weakest thing to brag about.
1 out of 100 cinematographers are going to pick up on that and be like, "Ooh, this is amazing."
Ooh, it's gonna once again at the Film Lighting Festival.
Yeah, exactly.
It wins the award for Best Picture.
Like, do you know that like he did this entire movie and didn't time any of the negatives? It's like, what?
Well, some of those old Chaplin films, they didn't even use microphones.
Ooh.
So there you go.
It's like he shot the whole movie at 23 frames per second instead of 24. It's really difficult.
So those are the only two ones. I mean, maybe Paths of Glory. I think Paths of Glory was really good. That was an early one. The Killing was really good.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of his early stuff was really great. Like, and yeah, certainly the later stuff. Yeah, apart from like maybe Eyes Wide Shut, but like.
Can I tell you the part of the reason I think I've seen Eyes Wide Shut? I think I only saw it once, and I hated it. But I honestly think that one of the reasons why I may have hated it more than it probably deserved.
Right.
Is because it took him fucking 11 years for that movie to come out.
Right.
Between Full Metal Jacket and Eyes Wide Shut was 11 years. And I understand Kubrick is a perfectionist.
Sure.
But come on.
How long was it between, was it The Shining and Full Metal Jacket or whatever? I mean, like,
God, yeah.
That was a while as well, yeah. Like, you know.
It's like, dude, like I know he's a perfectionist, but just, he's so talented. I would rather see a Kubrick failure.
Right.
And wait 11 years for a mediocre film.
Yeah, like
I'd rather see like 2 Kubrick failures and 1 other great movie because you could do that in 11 years.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I mean, yeah, it's not like he was busy curing cancer.
I mean, like he doesn't have to be like Woody Allen. Like Woody Allen's like a great director, but he makes a lot of stinky movies out there, and like movies that like people just forget about because they suck.
Well, you get the feeling that like Woody Allen like he sort of does a lot of therapy through his movies. So it's like, I get the feeling that like if Woody Allen wasn't like making movies constantly, he'd be doing even more fucked up shit. Like he'd be fucking all kinds of adopted
How many
kids.
movies could Woody Allen have made in 11 years? Like 7?
Like, oh God, more than that. I think he averages more than a movie a year practically, doesn't he? Like,
And as great as his body of work is, his batting average is probably like a batting champion. Like he's probably hitting like 350.
Right.
65% of the movies he makes are shit.
Right. I mean, like same thing with somebody like Spike Lee or something like that too. Like like he's made a lot of clunkers as well. Like
That's true.
Yeah, but I mean, but the good ones he's made have been great.
Have you seen any movies that you like?
Well, that's a good question. Like the two movies that come to mind that I've seen recently. One was Chappie, Neil Blomkamp or whatever, and I'm so disappointed in that guy. Like he's such a good filmmaker, but he's such a one-note fucking writer. Like it's just like even Elysium was interesting, but like had its flaws. District 9 was great, and District
9 was a magnificent movie.
It was, yeah, it was really good, and but like Chappie is the same territory again. I was ready to give him like all kinds of props for not using Charlton Copley or whatever his name is, but it turns out he played Chappie, so like I was dead wrong about that. And like Hugh Jackman was basically doing a Charlton Copley impression, and then the guys from like The Antwoord showed up and just like were comic book characters essentially, and like
the fact that Hugh Jackman was in that movie makes me think that he has some South African blood in him. Like, I mean, I know he's from Australia.
Yeah.
But, like, the guys from The Antwoord, they're Australian. I mean, no, they're
South African,
They're South Africans, and it's like, I'm surprised he couldn't, like, give Ernie Els a fucking, like, walk-on.
Well, I think there's this weird, like, sort of camaraderie between, like, South Africa and, like, Australia for being, like, these, like, under-the-world, like, English colonies or whatever like that, where, so they're sort of, like, united by that.
Yeah, and also the fact that, like, there's a bunch of criminals living in both those places.
Right. That's true, yeah.
All right, you want to take a break? I had more. We could do more, like, movies, but, like, our food just got here.
It did, yeah. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we can always talk some more about it.
All right.
And the bar.
We'll be right back. All right, and we are back at Cease and Desist. And we are back with full bellies because we had the pizza here. Andrew, what did you think of the pizza?
I thought it was really good, actually. I got a pepperoni and salami pizza. It's a what is it, like a 12-inch like little pizza, thin crust. Which I enjoy. And,
Are you a big? So you think like thin crust, is that the way to go?
It's my preference. I
Here's- I mean,
I know
like-
people that like deep dish or whatever, but like I find deep dish to be a little too bready, a little too.
Here's the thing: when you
thick.
talk about hot takes or clickbait,
Yeah.
pizza is something that will get a lot of like argument going. That's
suppose,
why
yeah.
on the Daily Show they did they had Jon Stewart like always talk about how great like the pizza is in New York, and how anyone who eats it with a fork and knife is a fucking has no idea what they're doing.
Right.
But also, those people in New York, the first place I ever saw where I see people, they fold their pizza in half and then eat it
Right.
like that. It's disgusting. Don't you actually want to taste it as it is going in your house? Why don't you just mash it into a fucking like ball before you like put it into your mouth? Like, I'm
That's
sorry,
true.
I can't get behind that.
So
But
I
like,
think
yeah,
that-
like then you have like the Chicago pizza, and those
Yeah.
people, they're very like, territorial about how great
Right,
their
right.
pizza is. And then Jon Stewart would say like, California pizza is like, that's not even pizza, that's disgusting. It's like there's no sauce, there's a bunch of fucking vegetables on there, and he says that like, Chicago pizza, that's just a casserole.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, like what was it? Somebody called it a bread bowl with fucking sauce in it. It's
But if
like-
you ask me, and I think like maybe it has a lot to do with where you're from, like what you remember.
could be, yeah.
But like I feel like that's like the placebo effect.
yeah,
I mean, although if I could have any pizza that I want, it would be the pizza from my hometown. It's very flaky, bready
Yeah.
pizza, but it's super greasy. Probably
Yeah.
put you in an early grave. But like where I grew up, that's probably not a bad thing.
like here, it'll kill you. It'll kill you quick.
Yeah, but there are people who in San Francisco who are from New York are like, oh yeah, I got to go to R&L's to get like some pizza, and I was like, yeah, that pizza's awful. It's crack pizza. It's for crackheads, and they're like, oh, you're just exaggerating. I'm like, no, I went to a party after hours there, and little did I know it was a crack party. Everybody was smoking crack in the pizza place,
That's great.
and also if you go to R&L's. The pizza's been sitting there for who knows how long. Like the grease is all coagulated on the
Authentic
top.
New York style, off alley brand pizza. Whatever, like,
Right, and you throw and you go, I want a pepperoni slice. So they throw a few slices of pepperoni on there. Then they throw it in the oven, and they bring it out. And I'm just like, dude, like this is who knows how long it's been sitting there. In my neighborhood, if I go to Deja Vu Pizza.
yeah, Deja Vu is good.
Because it's very bready, which I'm not a big fan of. But the thing is, even if you order a slice, they make the slice fresh right there.
Right.
It's not part of another fucking pie
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think like this pizza here, it was really good. It's probably a little too thin and too like crackery crust. Like I sort of like a almost like a middle ground on my crust where like it's chewy but it's like thin. Like so it's not paper thin, but it's like it has a little bit of give to it.
Do you have a favorite pizza in SF?
In San Francisco? Well, that's a good question.
I mean, if you could have any.
I did go to what the hell's the name of that place? Tony, is it Tony's in North Beach? Like Tony's
Golden Boy.
Neapolitan or something like that. I think
Yeah.
it's Tony's Neapolitan. That was a really good slice. I mean, like that guy knows what he's doing. I haven't tried he has like a Chicago style one now too called Capo.
Oh, really?
There, but yeah, that's good.
Golden Boy is a really good pizza in North Beach, and it's Sicilian.
Yeah, that is good, and that's almost more Chicago style because it's like it's got that sort of baked crust.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's not like Chicago where it's like deep dish where they pile all this shit in
Right.
there. I like Little Star in my neighborhood.
Little Star's great. Actually.
It's expensive, but it's really good.
Yeah.
And you can get like deep dish, or you can get like thin crust. But if I'm thinking of like a thin crust pizza, I'm thinking like Pauline's on Valencia
I've never been
Street.
there, actually. That's good.
It's really good. It's it's exactly what you're talking. It's like thin crust pizza, really good, but it hasn't been sitting out in the sun like it has at R&L's.
Like I remember enjoying Escape from New York pizza when it was in the Haight, but that was good. But
probably the best pizza I think I ever had was St. Mark's Pizza in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, like it goes back to what I was saying. Like I feel like it's a nostalgia thing. Like I mean, like I don't like to quote the show Entourage,
right.
But it's like on that show, they're like, if they're celebrating something, they'll call and have like pizza flown out from Queens because it's like their favorite pizza, which sounds like this decadent, like LA like movie star thing to do.
Yeah.
But guess what? Every once in a while, I think it's over at Dear Moms.
Yeah.
They have like bagels flown in from New York.
Right.
And they put the word out. And there's a line out the door to get these New York bagels.
Right.
And I've talked to people who have done it, and I'm like, what is the fucking deal? Why would you go and do that? They're like, oh, it's because the water there is better. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Just have the water shipped over then. Like if that were true, but people would like ship like gallons of water over and just do it themselves, but they don't. Like,
like the water from the East River. It's like a crystal clear geyser coming down off a mountain.
You just don't get the rubbers in it like you do.
The Coney Island whitefish. Right. Like what are you talking about?
Like, I had a bagel the other day. There wasn't a syringe in it anywhere.
You can't tell me. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say I'm flying out some bagels from New York.
Right.
And just go buy some bagels and sit on them for like half an hour.
That's right.
And then like sell them to people. And people will be like, oh, yeah, these are the best bagels ever.
Just put a bunch of cigarettes out on them. Like it's your New York-style bagel. Yeah, son of a bitch.
I have one other hot take. We were talking about movies.
Yeah. Go for it.
The last episode of True Detective happened.
Okay. And I was we were talking a little bit over our pizza, and like I mentioned that, I was completely ready to watch True Detective this year, and like I thought the first season was great, and I was a little hesitant because of Colin Farrell and Vince Vaughn or whatever, and then everything I heard about it was terrible. So like, so what was your experience with?
Okay, so here's my take on it. Everybody was like talking about how awful it is. They're all fucking wrong. It's not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
But it's so good. Like all of the performances are fantastic.
Wow.
And I hate Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
But the thing is like everywhere you go, you hear people like talk about how fucking horrible it is. But it's like, who is saying it's bad? Like I listen to the Dan Patrick Show, and it's like all those fucking jocks who don't know. They think that they know anything about like movies or music. And they're just like, all they're talking about is like how great Pearl Jam is. So like if you're somebody who's like that type of sensibility, then you're probably not going to like it. It actually got a little David Lynchy in the last episode.
Oh, wow.
Which is honestly was not what I was looking for. I like a gritty, dark like show.
Sure.
And I just think everybody's wrong. And the other thing I love about the show, is that it's so California, and I wonder if that plays into people's hatred of it, because like the fact that one of the things I love about it is like the politics of getting like a super train going through the Central Valley. Like that is like. If people don't know, people don't live in California, like that's basically our like waterworks. Like, if you're watching Chinatown and like, it's this land grab to try to get canals to sort of feed water to LA because water was going to be like this big thing. And there were all these like, kind of like LA noir movies about that because like that was like such a huge corrupt thing to do. Back then, but like now it's all about getting a rail through like Central California, and that was part of the deal that like the Vince Vaughn character was trying to land. Right. And I'm going to go off on a tangent here, because but I just want to keep in mind that like I did like the TV show. The super train that we're trying to build between here in LA that has been in the works forever.
Right.
It's like if this was
obsolete now at this point, but
if this was Germany or this was Japan, this would have been like built like a decade ago.
Oh God, yeah.
Like they're breaking ground on like supposedly the largest skyscraper in San Francisco, and like right like at Second and like Mission, and like they're building right there the terminal point for the super train, that's
Really?
supposed to like take people from here to LA in like, I don't know, 2.5 hours. So it's like usually like a 8-hour, like 7-hour drive.
Yeah.
But the thing is, from what I've been told, is every time they go into any of these municipalities, people either they want like a train like stop there so they can bring, so like the city can like flourish,
So they can like
or
build a Red Robin next to it or whatever.
or people are like, they ask for like the fucking moon, like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to buy our land, you want to
buy our scrub brush $1 billion.
It'll be $1 trillion, and you're just like, well,
I'm
what
gonna
the
buy
fuck?
me a whole state.
Right, and it's like, like you don't want to like enact eminent domain on some of these assholes, but also like they're coming to the negotiating table with like a fucking ridiculous idea in their head, and
like it is frustrating because like it's on one side you really do want like things to progress and like technology to like exist and stuff like that, but like you don't necessarily want it to like run roughshod over everyone's like freedom to own land or whatever, but like at the same time, like
this is gonna sound really like cruel, but like run roughshod over who? The fucking kind people of Coalinga,
right?
Or like, and it's like the thing is like people these towns like Fresno who want to have a stop on the
right.
Like it's like, dude, like nobody wants to fucking stop to Fresno. I'm like, sorry to tell you that. Like we want to like, and also if you have too many stops, it's not going to be a super train.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah,
you can't like get like
it shouldn't have any stops. Like who's like wants to take the train to Modesto now, but like it's just not quite fast enough. Like nobody.
Well, here's one that should be even easier, 100 times easier.
Right.
They've been trying to get a super train from LA to Vegas. Now,
yeah,
Las Vegas.
That seems like a real no-brainer that Las Vegas should pay for.
Las Vegas would pay for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Except every time they go into like these fucking abandoned like municipalities where there's like the city hall is a fucking like abandoned car.
Right. Like the mayor of Baker or Barstow is like, what about our big thermometer?
Right. Exactly. And
who cares?
And, like LA one, I mean, like you're building an artery from like the second largest city in the country to the gambling capital of the world. Like you would think they could like just get this done, but they can't get it done because of all the corruption.
Yeah.
So like that element of True Detective I thought was like fantastic.
Well, so I had no idea that it even involved any of that. So like, yeah, I mean, like I might have to check it out.
I think it's great. Like I mean, I wouldn't say. I think I may be over-exaggerating that. Like, I think it's better than it is because everybody's saying it's awful and it's not as bad. Everybody's just like, it's just like some basically dumb jock thing to say where it's just like, oh, yeah, that sucked. I heard that everybody else says it sucks, so therefore it sucks because I'm not willing. And also one of the things people are saying is like the plot's too confusing. It's like, yeah, for you, because you're an idiot.
Right.
I mean, well, whose fault is it if the plot's like too confusing? Watch it twice. It's on fucking television.
Well, there's one new show that I started watching, and then one that's in its second season as well.
Okay.
They started watching. They're both like sitcoms, but like so they're not. Not.
Is it,
they don't aim quite as high.
Is it Seinfeld?
Not Seinfeld. The one that's in its second season is Playing House with Jessica St. Clair and Lennon Parham on USA Network, I think. But that's a great show. It's really well written.
St. Clair.
They're both like female like UCB types. I mean, like
she like the girl who played Scott Aukerman's intern on.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Melissa Wampler or whatever on Comedy Bang Bang, right?
Yeah, Comedy Bang Bang.
Yeah. It's the same person, but like it's a super funny show. And then the other one is a new show called Difficult People, with Julie Klausner and Billy Eichner, produced by Amy Poehler, I think. I think it's on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. But
interesting.
But it's also really funny just because it's about two miserable people that like just can't deal with anybody, which is great.
Wait, what's it called?
Difficult People.
Oh, huh.
But like, but Billy Eichner's great. Like he was on Billy on the Street and all that stuff.
He was on what?
He had that show called Billy on the Street where he just like go around hassling people in New York, and like he's sort of like semi-flamboyantly gay, but also sort of an angry gay, like Guy Branum almost. But,
so like Guy Branum.
Angry gay, like the only other angry gay I know, Guy Branum.
The only show that I've been like got into, I started watching BoJack Horseman.
Oh yeah,
and it's so good.
Ah, great.
Yeah, there's like I couldn't believe it took me so long to start watching it. But it's Will Arnett and not Amy Sedaris.
Amy Sedaris, right? Doesn't
Aaron
Paul F. Tompkins play a dog named Mr. Peanut Butter?
Yeah, Paul F. Tompkins, Aaron Paul.
Right.
One of my favorite jokes is the Aaron Paul character who plays his stoner roommate.
Right.
He's all stone, and they're talking about this one character was dating James Garfield, the guy who was
former president?
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Oh, that James Garfield.
And the girl was saying she had broken up with James Garfield, and she kept mentioning things about James Garfield that that she knew, and she's like, oh yeah, well James just hated Mondays. and then later,
really lasagna.
And then later he says he loved lasagna, and it's the Aaron Paul character is just wait a minute, so you're telling me that James Garfield hates Mondays and he loves lasagna?
That's great.
It's this is blowing my mind.
Yeah, fantastic.
You want to take a break and come back and do a couple of Yelp reviews?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, this is SFBarkast, and we are at Cease and Desist. All right, and we are back at Cease and Desist on Mission Street between 19th and 20th.
Ooh.
There you go.
The complete introduction.
That's a complete. This place is starting to fill up.
Yeah, it's getting
a
little more busy.
We just heard a big woo from some people downstairs.
Yes.
And I'm willing to bet they get a lot of woos in here.
It's a woo-heavy environment.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's a place where, young blonde women say, "Oh, I'm so drunk."
They say, "Ooh, look at that bejeweled bison head on the wall." Woo, indeed.
Do you have any Coke? And also I want to say I love this bar.
Excellent. No, I overall, I think it's a cool spot.
Actually, I do like this bar. It's.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I like it as much as the Gas Head next door, but if the Gas Head is full, come here.
Well, I feel like I gave the Gas Head a little bit more, even though I did talk to some people downstairs. All the people I talked to at Gas Head, they're all just fantastic, really interesting people to talk to.
The Gas Head's probably half this size too, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Probably a third.
All right, do you want me to? Given the brand newness of this place, there's not a whole lot of Yelp activity, but if you'd like, I did find one review that might be worth reading.
Okay.
And so, let's open up the Bad Yelp Reviews mailbag.
Oh.
And here goes. Okay, Tyler L. Already Tyler.
Why does it not surprise me that Tyler comes here?
Tyler. So Tyler went here last night and was blown away with how rude our bartender was. You had to place your order and pay at the bar top, or up top, I guess. So we ordered 2 apps and 2 rounds of drinks. Now, here's the key part. At around 1:50 a.m., the bartender comes over to us to ask if we had an open tab. We politely said we had already paid. And once he confirmed that, he told us, oh, okay, well, now get the fuck out.
Nobody said that, Tyler.
Are you serious? Joking or not, we found this amazingly rude and would rather spend my hard-earned money elsewhere. A business that actually appreciates you as a customer. Yeah, exactly. That guy didn't say that. It's 2 a.m, you're drunk. You got home, your girlfriend didn't want to have sex with you because the bartender spoke to you briskly.
Right.
And so, now you're going to take it out on him by, writing a drunken
Nobody
bad
works at a bar, unless you're getting kicked out. Nobody goes, oh, well, then get the fuck out.
Well,
it's not people bartenders come over and be like, hey, this is the last call,
right?
And we're closing up. You gotta go.
And I'm willing to bet that the bartender did that about 4 times and was like, we're closing up, guys. You're gonna have to get out. Yeah, we're closing up, guys. And then he came over and was like, are you guys waiting to pay your bill? And they probably said no. And he's like, well, then get the fuck out. I've said, and bartenders do that at 2 a.m. That's the world we live in.
Right.
They have to eliminate everybody from the bar by 2 o'clock or they get in trouble. So guess what? You gotta leave.
And also, I do disagree with Tyler, where it's he's upset that they asked him to pay up front. I love that.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't that's the worst is to try to track down the bartender at the end of the night and Like,
yeah, because what if you have to leave?
Run down the list of what you had or whatever. Like,
dude, in my hometown, like it is customary to like just like they start running you a tab.
Yeah.
Like if you're, I mean, like if it's a busy
you're
bar,
Irish.
if it's a busy bar, they'll ask
Right.
for a credit card.
Right.
But if it's not, they're just like, oh, we're bartenders, we'll stay on top of it. But then it gets a little busier, and it's like, hey, I want to close out. But then the guy's like fucking talking to some girl or some drug dealer at the end of the fucking
Right.
bar, and you're just like I would much rather pay right up front because then we can leave anytime we want.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like, yeah. So screw you, Tyler. You're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I got, though.
I have a review here, and it's from Don, and it
Okay.
says, but quite frankly, your attitude appalls me. It's not what you're saying. It's all this stuff you're not saying. Insinuendos.
Wait a minute. That's not a bad Yelp review.
That is a line from the movie Sexy Beast. But
Well, that should be the new segment. Is like you have to guess whether it's a bad Yelp review or a line from Sexy Beast.
if somebody says insinuendos, probably from Sexy Beast.
Too many insinuendos. 1 star.
Andrew, what is your final analysis, Phil Giuano, of this bar?
Final analysis. I'm gonna, even though it's owned by the one of the I don't know what you call it, colleagues or of the Bon Vivants, the Duncan Lai led conglomerate that seems to own 10 or 12 bars now at this point. Even though it's part of like a big big deal like that, it's a pretty cool spot, and like it's really unexpected. And you know what? Like the food was halfway decent. Like it's not superly overly crowded. Like it's it's decent. I like it.
No, I like this bar. I would come back here again, especially to watch games. Although
totally.
I don't know, I probably wouldn't come back to watch a football game here, just because I would go to the Kilowatt.
Yeah.
Because even though there's a lot of space here, it's very compartmentalized. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's this room that we're in, there's the room
Right.
where the pinball is, there's that bar down right below us, and there's the front room there.
Yeah.
So it's like, whereas like if you're looking for a place where you can like sort of have this community feeling where you just turn around and see another game,
Right.
I would go like at the Kilowatt. But yeah, I mean, if you have like a good table here and you're like just gonna watch one game, like I said, I came here to watch a Warrior game. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like now that I'm looking around, like I kind of see where it would like this place would be good. Like this would be a good place to bring like 9 or 10 people to.
Yeah.
And like because you get your sort of own little section that's kind of cool, and like you wouldn't have to like intermingle with like a whole bunch of other people or whatever. Like you just stake out a section and sort of make it yours. Like,
I feel like it would
there's
be-
about 4 or 5 spots in this bar that are like that.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be kind of like a good date night too.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of sit around and it's like there's plenty of space. You can have your own tables and eat and then go home and fuck.
Not a lot of cops around.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of people looking at you. So
super.
yeah, I'm going to give it a lukewarm thumbs up.
You have anything to plug or besides
Aside from
True Detective?
BoJack Horseman and True Detective, no, not a whole lot. Just keep playing Ingress, man. Just keep playing for the Resistance.
I noticed that friend of the show, Chris Garcia, is the guest on this week's Crab Feast with Jay Larson and Ryan Sickler podcast.
I know not
So,
what you speak of.
Listen to that. And other friend of the show, Paco Romain's Sup Doc podcast featured the director of the documentary about Chris Farley that came out last week that I actually watched. And
Was it any good?
you know what? It's well made, and they interview just about everybody, but I'm not sure I mean, you sort of know the story, or at least I did. I mean, like, if you know a little bit about it, Chris Farley, maybe it would be interesting. I happen to know a lot about Chris Farley, and so it was all just sort of like, yeah, I know he drank a lot, I know he did a lot of drugs, and and then he died.
It's kind of interesting because I haven't seen the documentary, but
Yeah.
somebody was telling me that one of the more profound like moments is that like Chris Farley was the last partier on SNL.
Huh.
Where
I didn't
it's
even
like
think of that, really. Yeah.
like Spade and Sandler and Farley, they were all into partying.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like right after that, you got Amy Poehler and Daryl Hammonds and Tina Fey got in there, and they're all into juicing. Where it's like, they all have their fucking probiotic smoothies. Whereas like, this is the same room that John Belushi OD'd on, and.
Yeah, it did sort of like, I didn't even think of that, but it did sort of mark a noticeable change, not a change for the better. Well, like the last 20 years of Saturday Night Live casts, like some of them have been very good, but they've all been like pretty much straight-laced professionals. I mean, like, they're just like, I'm an improv performer. I do it for a living. Like, here I am.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And also we were talking about this, like, at my trivia night, one of the questions was, who's had the longest tenure at Saturday Night Live?
Oh, okay.
And it's Daryl Hammonds, with 14 years.
Wow.
Now,
barely beating out
years,
Tim Meadows, probably, right? Like,
yeah, Tim Meadows, I think, was number 5.
No.
But 14 years is a fucking... He should be ashamed of being on that show for 14 years.
Right.
It used to be a show where if you were on there for 4 years, they're like, what are you doing?
Right.
And it also used to be a rock and roll like comedy show where it's like, there was a lot of like, bad habits going around. And now it's like you said, it's like a bunch of people who are doing it like, as professionals. So we're like, oh yeah, like our professional comedians, like nobody's out of control. And the thing is, it's like, you lose something there. I mean, like, I don't want to see another Chris Farley die on my watch.
Exactly,
but at the same time, it's like, I also don't want to see these fucking goddamn, like, housewives doing fucking, like, comedy. Like,
right. Yeah, so, I mean, like I say, it was just, they got, like, all the people you would want to hear from, and, like, everyone did their jobs right and everything as far as the documentary goes. But it was just like, I don't know, like, I just didn't learn much from it. I guess I was entertained but not, like, enlightened in any way.
What about this? Like, because there was some people have said that, like, I don't know if they touched it on the documentary, that we're all somewhat culpable in Chris Farley's death. Because, like, they say the same thing in, like, I haven't seen the Amy Winehouse movie, but I guess, like, that is, like, it's not a veiled, like, statement that the filmmaker makes. It's like, it's overt. Where he's like, we're all culpable. Like, we all loved Chris Farley. We all loved Amy Winehouse. We loved it when they were getting in trouble. We loved it when they were, like, fucking too drunk on stage. And then when they died, we all think, like, oh, none of this is our fault. Like, I'm not saying it is, but I mean, if it is, it's like such a fucking small, like, we're all culpable for such a small.
Like, I think there's a big difference between, like, laughing at somebody who is attempting to, like, make us laugh but happens to be on drugs. Like you're asking people to process a lot, before they laugh at something. Like, that's stupid. Like, you can't tell somebody, like, hey, before you find this guy funny, make sure you're not enabling him. It's like, well, you just destroyed comedy. Like, pretty much. Like,
And also, like, at the time, I mean, none of that, nobody thought about that beforehand.
Yeah.
Like,
when you can't, really.
When he was alive and he was, like, doing all that crazy shit, we were just like, this is the funny fat guy, right? After he died, you go back and you watch some of, like, the motivational speaker stuff, and you're like, whoa, man, like, he's sweating like fucking...
Like, there was
sweating crazy, and he's, like, doing backflips and falling into, like, coffee tables. Like, this guy's clearly on drugs.
Yeah. Well, there was one appearance that sort of, like, totally gave me pause and was just, like, almost jarring, because I think it was, like, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before he died, and he was on Letterman, and, like, he was just pouring sweat, and, like, and didn't seem to be able to focus on anything. I mean, like, and it was, like, if you look at it now, you're like, okay, like, he's right at the end. Like, it's like next step is, like, ODing. Like, and you can sort of see that, but at the same time, I mean, like, he had everybody, flying him to rehabs and, like, trying to help him out. So, like, like, I don't think, I'm certainly not going to line up to take blame for Chris Farley's death because I found him funny once.
No, Andrew, it's your fault.
Damn it. I confess.
One thing I do remember when Chris Farley died was they were interviewing like Spade on like CNN,
Right.
and Spade didn't seem surprised or anything. He was like, yeah, well, you know, Chris,
Saw this coming.
He's a great guy and whatever. Like,
Like,
it's just like,
if you'd called me back, when he survived, I'd be a lot more surprised.
yeah, exactly. Anything else? You got any other plugs?
Nah, let's just go. Let's go do a bunch of coconut on it.
Exactly. I'll tell you what. I'll do a bunch of coke and I'll do some somersaults for you. And then if I die, it's your fault.
That's right. I'm a large guy. I'll put on a little coat. I'll make everybody laugh, and then I'll sweat a bunch and drop dead.
All right. Sounds like a plan. All right. This is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I am Andrew Levin.
And we're signing off from Cease and Desist. See you next time.